In today's world, well, everything's going digital, isn't it? And the people protecting all that information, the security specialists, they're not just important, they are absolutely essential.
Totally vital. They're basically the guardians standing between our data and, well, a constant stream of threats that just keep changing.
And whether you're listening because you want to be one of those guardians or maybe you're hiring them, you really need to know what employers are looking for.
Exactly. What skills, what knowledge are they testing for?
Which is why today we're doing a deep dive into a specific source. It's a guide from Kaplan, and it lays out some key interview questions for security specialists.
Yeah, questions designed to figure out what a candidate really knows, what they've experienced, how they solve problems.
So our mission here is to take that Kaplan guide, unpack these questions, and really get to the core of what matters.
We want to help you get a clear picture, quickly, of what employers need to see or what you need to show if you're the candidate.
And we'll do that by, getting right into the details of the 6 specific questions and the answers the source provides. Let's unpack it.
Okay, let's do it. So, question 1 in the guide jumps right into a really fundamental concept: defense in depth.
Ah, yes, defense in depth. The guide explains it as using multiple layers of security controls.
Right, things like physical security, think locks and doors. Then technical controls like firewalls and encryption.
And administrative ones, too, like policies and procedures.
Exactly, all working together. The main idea is if one layer gets breached, others are still there protecting the information.
It's like layers of an onion, sort of.
Kind of, yeah. And what's really key here, and why employers care about this, is that it shows strategic thinking.
It's not just about having one really strong password or firewall.
No, exactly. It's about understanding you can't rely on a single point of failure. You need redundancy, multiple barriers. It shows a mature approach to security.
Makes sense. Building resilience.
Yeah.
Okay, but even with great layers, the threats themselves are always changing, right? Which brings us nicely to question 2 from the source.
Which is, how do you keep your cybersecurity knowledge up to date?
Yeah, and this is critical because, as the Kaplan Guide points out, cybersecurity is rapidly evolving. That's a direct quote.
It really is. You just can't learn this stuff once and be done. New threats pop up, vulnerabilities are found, defenses improve. It's constant.
So how does the guide suggest people stay current?
Well, it lists the things you'd expect: reading industry blogs, doing webinars, going to conferences sometimes.
Taking certification courses?
Yep, certifications, and also being active in online communities, forums, that sort of thing, places where information is shared quickly.
So this question isn't just checking if you read stuff.
Yeah.
It's probing your commitment, right? Your process for continuous learning.
Precisely. Do you have a proactive habit of staying informed? That's what they want to know. You have to stay ahead.
Absolutely vital. Okay, let's switch gears a bit to something more technical, a real building block. Question 3 asks about encryption, specifically symmetric versus asymmetric.
Right, the two main types. The guide explains symmetric first. That's where you use the same key to both encrypt or scramble the data and decrypt it.
Like a simple lockbox where the same key locks and unlocks it.
Exactly. And the guide notes it's generally very fast, which is a plus.
But, and this is the catch the source highlights, you have to share that one key securely with whoever needs to decrypt the message.
Yeah, and if that key gets intercepted while you're sharing it, well, your encryption is useless.
Okay, so what about asymmetric then?
Asymmetric uses a pair of keys, a public key and a private key. They're mathematically linked.
How does that work?
Well, anyone can use your public key to encrypt a message for you, but only you, with your corresponding private key, can decrypt it.
Ah, okay. So you can share the public key widely, no problem, because it can only lock, not unlock.
Precisely. It solves that secure key sharing problem elegantly. Think of it like a mailbox. Anyone can drop a letter in, encrypt with public key, but only you have the key to open the box, decrypt with private key.
But there's always a trade-off, isn't there? The source mentions one here, too.
Yeah, the guide points out that asymmetric encryption is generally slower, computationally, than symmetric.
So speed versus secure key distribution. Understanding that difference and when to use which, that sounds pretty fundamental for a security specialist.
Oh, absolutely. It's core knowledge for protecting data, whether it's sitting somewhere or moving across a network.
All right, so we've got defenses, staying updated, encryption. But what happens when things go wrong? Because, let's be honest, sometimes they do.
Unfortunately, yes. Which leads us to question 4. How would you handle a data breach? This is about incident response.
And the Kaplan Guide It lays out a pretty clear, structured approach for this, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
Step 1, containment. You have to stop the bleeding immediately, prevent more data loss.
Makes sense. Stop the leak first. Then what?
Then, assess. Figure out the extent of the breach. What data was compromised? How much? Who's affected?
Okay, containment, assessment. What's next?
Identification. You need to find out how it happened, what vulnerability allowed the breach. You need that root cause.
Right, find the hole in the fence.
Exactly. And then step 4 is implementing measures to fix that vulnerability. Plug the hole.
Okay, so technical fix, done. But it's not over, is it?
Not at all. The source emphasizes communication next. Talking to the people affected, customers, users, and also any regulatory bodies you need to notify.
That's a big one. Legal and reputational aspects.
Huge. And finally, the guide says, you review the whole incident and update your security protocols to prevent it, or something similar, from happening again. Lessons learned.
Wow, okay. That's a really systematic process. Contain, assess, identify, fix, communicate, review.
And seeing a candidate articulate that structured approach, that tells an employer a lot.
Yeah, it shows they can think clearly under pressure, focus on minimizing damage, find the cause, and actually improve things for the future.
It's about demonstrating that crucial incident response capability, which the source flags as key for this role. It covers technical, communication, legal, and process improvement angles.
Got it. Okay, moving from major incidents to maybe more common everyday threats. Question 5 is about phishing. How do you spot a phishing attack?
The classic phishing email or message. The source lists several common indicators, those red flags you should look for.
Like what?
Things like unexpected requests for sensitive info, your bank suddenly asking for your password via email. Probably not legit.
Right. Generic greetings too, right? Like dear valued customer instead of your name.
Exactly. Spelling and grammar mistakes are another big tell. Professional organizations usually proofread their communications.
Misleading URLs. Like it looks like your bank's website address, but it's slightly off.
Yep. Hover before you click. And that manufactured sense of urgency, click N now W or your account will be locked. They want to rush you so you don't think.
Recognizing those tactics seems really practical. It's not just theoretical knowledge.
Absolutely. It's frontline threat detection. Security specialists need to know these because they might be training users, setting up filters, or analyzing suspicious emails. It shows you understand how attackers often go after people, the human element.
Makes perfect sense. Okay, one more question from the Kaplan Guide. Question 6 gets back to network design. Why is network segmentation important?
Network segmentation. Basically, as the guy explains, it means dividing your computer network into smaller, isolated sections or segments.
Okay, why do that?
Several key reasons given in the source. It can improve overall network performance, for one, but critically for security.
It limits the damage if something goes wrong.
Exactly. It limits the spread of malware or an attack. If one segment gets compromised, say the guest Wi-Fi network, the segmentation acts like an internal firewall.
Preventing it from easily jumping over to like the segment with all the sensitive financial data.
Precisely. It contains the threat. Plus, it makes managing and securing the network easier because you can apply specific security rules to each segment based on its needs and risks.
So, network segmentation. It really ties back to that first concept we discussed, doesn't it? Defense in depth.
It absolutely does. It's a perfect example of applying that layered defense strategy inside the network itself. Another barrier, another layer of protection.
Okay, so looking back at all 6 questions from this Kaplan source. Defense in depth, staying current, encryption types, handling breaches, spotting phishing, network segmentation.
Wow. Yeah, you can really see the range of knowledge they cover. Foundational concepts, practical skills, strategic thinking.
It touches on threat detection with phishing, incident response with the breach plan.
Compliance is hinted at with the communication step in breach handling, and strategic planning comes through in defense, in depth, and segmentation.
So understanding these questions, it really gives you a solid map, whether you're preparing for a job interview in this field,
Or if you're on the other side, trying to assess who has the right skills.
or even if you're just curious about what goes into protecting our digital world. This deep dive hopefully clarifies those core responsibilities.
It lays out what prepared looks like in cybersecurity based on this source.
So we've unpacked the Kaplan Guide's key questions for security specialists, given everything we've discussed, especially that point about the rapidly evolving world of cybersecurity. Here's something to maybe mull over.
Okay.
How does that absolute necessity for constant learning, for staying updated? Question 2, how does that directly feed in to strengthening those fundamental layers of defense from question 1 and making proactive choices like network segmentation from question 6?
Hmm.
How do they all work together to build a defense that can actually stand a chance against tricky threats like phishing from question 5, while also ensuring you're ready to handle the fallout when inevitably a breach like the one in question 4 happens?
It's all connected, isn't it? The learning fuels the strategy informs the defenses, and both prepare you for the response.
Exactly. It's a constant cycle, all necessary for a truly robust security posture in today's world.
Yeah.
Something to think about.